Big plans from a Manitoba leader who just made history.
Look at what we have done here tonight.
Wab Kinew, set to be the first provincial premier from a First Nation.
You know I'm no angel.
The former rapper framed his long-ago arrest record as proof that anyone can find redemption.
I was given a second chance.
As a broadcaster, he told the story of his father's abuse at residential school. And Wab Kinew joins us now from Winnipeg. Wab, you were a colleague here at the CBC, but once you're sworn in, your title will be Wab Kinew, Premier of Manitoba, so no first names here. And I'm just curious, on the day after the election, how does that title sound?
Well, it sounds like I deserve to be very, very humble because the people of Manitoba have invested our team with this awesome responsibility to form their next government, and really all you can do is feel a great deal of humility and commit to working very hard to repay that debt of gratitude.
In your acceptance speech last night, I think the very first issue you talked about was improving the healthcare system in Manitoba. That is something, as you know, every province is grappling with, and whatever you do, at some point more money will be needed. Do you have a sense of how much more and where it's going to come from?
Well, we've committed to an additional $125 million annually in terms of healthcare staffing in the province. But I also want to make clear that one of the ideas that we talked about in this campaign and that Manitobans, I think, really identified with, particularly those who work in healthcare, is that just adding more money to the same approach is not going to give us the results that we want. We also need a new culture in healthcare. And here I think this is going to help with retention of the staff that we have. If we have a better healthcare and culture that simplifies the bureaucracy and reinvests both resources and decision making at the front lines.
You are a relatively young man, 41, but you've done a lot so far in your life. And I wonder, for people who are watching, particularly outside of Manitoba, give us the thumbnail description, a brief description of who you are.
Well, I was born in Kenora in northwestern Ontario, and my parents took me home to a nearby First Nation called the Ojibways of Enigaming First Nation. We stayed there for a few years, and then I did all my schooling in the city of Winnipeg. Over the years, I've been able to call people at the CBC and other media outlets colleagues. I've done the same at the University of Winnipeg. I worked in the States for a bit in the publishing industry. But really, the profession that I'm pursuing now, which is serving the people of Manitoba at the provincial level, has been the great honor of my life, and I cannot thank the people of Manitoba enough for this opportunity.
Your late father was Indigenous. Your mother, who we saw last night celebrating her birthday alongside you, is not Indigenous. But you know, I don't have to tell you, among Indigenous people today and last night, in and outside of Manitoba, there are some high hopes, but also some high expectations. So when it comes to reconciliation, what changes in Manitoba now?
Well, I hope that young Manitobans from all walks of life understand that the democracy that we have in this province is strong. It's stronger because we know that people from any background, people from any region can participate and serve the public. And I think that that's a strong message that our democracy is moving forward. And because we know that talent is distributed evenly across our entire society, if we can ensure that people from all corners of that society can participate equally, I think that means we're getting an ever-improving standard of contributions in our provincial system. And so I'd hope that young Indigenous person knows that they can make a difference, and that if they show up to vote and participate and serve the public, they're going to be able to move forward. And I'd hope that the non-Indigenous young person feels the same way and also feels like they're part of something exciting that's happening as we bring people together to build the future of Manitoba.
Your message to young people goes deeper than that, though, of course. As a young man, you faced criminal charges. And last night, in your speech, you talked about the importance of second chances. And I want to play a brief clip from that speech.
My life became immeasurably better when I stopped making excuses and I started looking for a reason.
So what exact message are you hoping to send a young person who's had a troubled past, who's in Manitoba, about kind of taking responsibility themselves for turning things around?
Well, when I was young, I made mistakes, and then I smartened up. And last night, after the election was called, I knew that I would have the opportunity to speak to many people in our province and really across Canada and possibly beyond that. And I wanted to use some part of that time to just encourage young people that if you want to live a positive life, if you want to do good things for yourself, for your community, for this country that we love, then you can do so. It starts with you, but my view of government is that a government should be there to support people and help them once they've taken that first step towards making their life better and towards making a positive contribution. And so really, I do view leadership as having a responsibility to address policy issues for sure, but also to send a message to the general population about the province and society that we want to live in. And so the comments that you played there were part of that approach that I would like to bring forward, which is to just use some of the opportunity that I have before me to hopefully share some words that may help a young person out there, that they may be able to use in their lives to make things a bit better.
As a former TV reporter, you'll understand we're tight for time, but I do want to put at least one more question to you. The federal government has announced $750,000 is going to be set aside for assessing the feasibility of searching that Winnipeg area landfill for the remains of 2 First Nations women. From your perspective as the incoming premier, are you personally committed to making sure that search takes place?
I am, and I would like to work with the other levels of government, both the federal and municipal governments in this part of the province to ensure that it happens. But first and foremost, I want to work with the families. This is about dignity, and this is about respect for the family members of victims who were the victims of one of the worst crimes that's ever happened in Manitoba's history. And so we need to show them respect, and making a good faith effort on this search is one way that we can do that, and it's a very important way at that.
I hope I can ask you to answer this question in 30 seconds. What do you hope your win last night represents?
You know, I think the people of Manitoba came out to vote for health care. They came out to vote for affordability. But underlying both of those messages was Manitobans rejecting the message of division that was on offer from our opponents and embracing a message of unity. We've been divided so much these last 3 years. I think Manitobans, as with many Canadians, were hungry for a message of bringing people together once again.
Wab Kinew, congratulations on the win, and a real pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Ian.